You are.
We're going to talk a little bit today about short sale timelines.
Wait, I'm psychic. Oh, I was just going to say short sale timelines.
Well, you could have said short sale processing or
Processing.
Processing.
Depending on where you're from.
Exactly, or where you're going.
No matter where you are. No.
No matter where you go,
there you are. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
Anyway, see you next time.
Let's talk about short sale time frames and how long should a short sale take?
Or what exactly is the process? Because, you know, especially...
Wait a minute, what are we talking about? How long is it going to take, or what exactly the process? Is that another video?
No, it's one and the same.
Okay, let's do it.
Here's the thing. We've been negotiating short sales for people out of state.
Yes.
People that are in areas where they haven't really seen a lot of short sales.
Yes.
They suddenly start popping up, and the idea is, you know, they get us an offer, and they get us the initial information that we're looking for, and they send it to us, and they're like, okay, well, the buyer really wants to close in 30 days. Are you going to have an approval by the end of the week?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Approved. There you go.
Who will robo-sign that?
We'll robo-sign that. Deal with RoboCop later. Okay, so we just want to make it clear on exactly what happens, what to expect.
Right.
And this isn't justifying anything for any of the parties involved, but you have got a situation here where, first and foremost, the bank is not the seller of the property.
No, the seller, the owner of the property is the seller of the property.
Exactly. The short sale itself is nothing more than a contingency. That lender approval of the short sale is a contingency. No different than a buyer home inspection, an appraisal, or anything along those lines.
Yep.
It is a contingency. Okay, so the idea that the bank is somehow selling this house is wrong. It is not an REO. It is a short sale. Okay, but the first and foremost, and we've touched on this one before as well, but it's important to realize that the short sale itself is not about your buyer and how good the offer is. It's first and foremost about the seller and why they need to sell that property. What has gotten them into that situation? Mm-hmm. So again, the only thing the bank has to go on is the short sale package. Now obviously, if you're dealing with an agent that's done a lot of short sales, or better yet, you're dealing with us, then your package is going to be perfect. And what is going to happen at that point, so we get all this information together, and if it's in Equator, that's one thing, it's uploaded, but if it's with another lender, and it's faxed in, it's now faxed in. What happens then?
Well, here's how it rolls, people. This is what happens. We have to get the authorization, and that usually takes about 72 hours to get a response from the bank or the lender, so that they understand that we're, or the agent is actually going to be negotiating and working with the homeowner.
So that authorization is what gives that representative the right to discuss that loan.
That's correct. Authorization to release and convey information. Okay, almost like you're under oath. You can only say what's in the package. Then after 72 hours, and it's been confirmed that they have that authorization, and the agent is getting payouts, that's how you can confirm the fact that they actually have your authorization, because the bank will give you a final payoff.
Right.
Okay? Then, as long as there's an offer on the property, this whole entire 50 to 150 page packet gets sent off to the bank. And that usually takes another 72 to 120 hours to be imaged and be uploaded and all in the system, right?
Okay, so I think there's an important factor. You fax all of that in, but the bank usually aren't dealing with that much paper on their side.
Right.
So what they're doing is the minute they get that in, it's being imaged into their system. So it's either being scanned in or it's all being, you know, put together. It's important at that point in time to make sure the loan number is on every page. Sometimes in a fax, pages can get stuck together and there may be something missing or it comes in later. So everything there is then image put into the bank system.
That's right. And we're already a week in.
We're already a week in.
This is with it listed and an offer on the property. We're already a week in, right?
Exactly.
And then from there what happens is they confirm that it's imaged in. They have everything on their screen in front of them. They say, this is great. Then they have to confirm the hardship. They have to look through all the paperwork.
Well, and again, it depends on that bank, on who's actually getting this at certain points in time. Because, you know, if you're dealing with Chase, for instance, the processor is going to get it first. And that processor, all that processor is really doing is processing the file. Okay, so they're going to go through all of those documents and see, is this package complete? Do I have everything that I need? Or are there pages missing? If there's pages missing, then that person's going to come back to whoever's authorized and say, we need these pages. They are missing. Or if the entire package is complete, that person at that point in time is going to probably order an appraisal or order an evaluation of the property. That's a piece that the bank is going to need to know, okay, we have an offer here, and we see the listing agreement, But are all of these numbers, do they make sense? Are they?
Yeah, because they don't see the property.
Right.
And one other thing I want to add to that is that some banks actually, from the processor who then stamps it okay, then it goes to a loss mitigator who then gets to say, okay, this file has been checked, and one of those two parties then offer or orders that BPO or that appraisal, because
Exactly.
for all, what happened in the past is people were writing $100,000 offers on $200,000 homes, and the bank had no idea what it was worth. Well, they're a lot smarter now, and they're protecting their investment, so they're
Right.
ordering that BPO or that appraisal, and that
Right.
takes what?
It can take a week.
Yeah, it could take 10 to 14 days,
Yeah,
depending on the
I mean,
area.
depending on who it is in the area. So they're going to place the order, and it's going to be with an independent, someone they select. They're going to go in, they've got to make arrangements to get into the property, then they've got to prepare the report, then they've got to submit the report back to the bank.
Yep.
Then that report has to be imaged into the file, so they've got all this information together, and now you have something complete. And at that point in time, now, after all of this, you could be 30 days in.
Yeah, you're easily 3 weeks in.
Yeah, 3 weeks to 30 days, somewhere
Yeah.
in that time frame. Now all of a sudden, the file moves on again. Now you're going to get the negotiator, the one that's really going to go through all of this. The people that have looked at the file so far aren't necessarily saying, yes, this is a valid hardship, no, it isn't.
Right.
They're just making sure all the documents are there, and they have everything. Now all of a sudden it moves on, and what we find is that person, they're going to do a couple of different things. They're going to order a title report. They
Yep.
want to see what outstanding liens are on the property. They're going to order payoff statements, so they've got accurate payoff figures for however many liens are on the property. They're going to find out if there's mortgage insurance involved. They're going to find out if the loan is backed by one of the government entities, if it's Fannie or Freddie, or maybe it's FHA, or maybe it's VA. There's another entity that has to get
Right.
involved. So they're going to
And
start.
that takes how long?
It varies from time to time. It
Another
could be
10 to 15 to 20 days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In some cases, they've been streamlined. They've been moving it through much, much quicker than this. But in others, and remember, they're overwhelmed with files right now. We've talked before, they do not want to foreclose. If they're not foreclosing, and there's still roughly 6.5 million homeowners that are behind on their mortgage payments right now, they're not foreclosing, they're pushing them to short sale, which is increasing the workload on this side.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that loss mitigator needs to do. By this time, they probably need updated financials from the seller.
Yeah.
Has anything changed? Now, once they get all of this information together, now they can start going through and saying, okay, well, based upon this, yes, we verify that there's a hardship. Is there an income shortfall? Yes, there's an income shortfall. Does this look as though it's a candidate? Yes, it's a candidate for a short sale. Does it qualify for half up or something else?
I'm sweating to death in here, man, but yeah, I'm hearing it.
I know, it's going through all of this. So, by the time you submit that offer, that complete package, quite often right now we're seeing that, depends on the lender, but it's going to be somewhere in the 45-day,
Yeah,
sometime around 60
on the average about 45 to 60 days from beginning to end. That's with an offer that's been written. Again, I've seen them in as quick as 21 days, and the HAFA program requires 30-day response. So they have to know in 30
Right.
days whether they're going to approve it HAFA or not approve it HAFA, but it doesn't mean that it has to be approved, and they could run late.
Exactly.
But that's the guideline. So think about this. If you're a buyer and you put an offer on a property, you're going to be waiting a minimum of 30 days.
Right.
Unless it's pre-approved and there's other
types
nuances there.
Yeah, there's other types, and the lenders have realized they've got a backlog and they've got a problem. So in many instances, right when that property is listed, you can go ahead and start submitting a pre-sale package.
Right.
They might approve that hardship up front and try and take care of some of that work. But it's really important to remember, on the buy side or as a buyer's agent, or if you're a listing agent, in an area where you haven't dealt with a lot of short sales and the seller's asking you, how long is this going to take? You can pretty much plan roughly on 45 to 60 days on average. Again, there's always exceptions. On average, in order to get something back. Once you get an approval back, assuming it's approved, at that point in time, now you move into your standard closing period. And it doesn't matter what the dates are on your contract, the closing period is going to be dictated by that lender on how long that approval is good for. So if they give you an approval letter that's good for 45 days, you have to close within that time period. If everyone can accommodate 30, that's fantastic. That doesn't mean you can take 60.
Well, yeah, and I want to clarify that though, because if the contract, the purchase agreement, and we had a video on this already, if the purchase agreement, the buyer says, I want to close in 30 days, but the seller's lender gives them 45, that does not give that buyer 45 days to
No.
close. It gives them 30 days to close. So not to be misunderstood, if you're a buyer and you write an offer that says you'll close in 30 days from the approval letter, you have 30 days. I don't care if the approval letter says 120 days. You don't have 120 days.
Correct.
All right, just
Correct.
wanted to clarify.
No, that's a great point. What I'm meaning to say on that is if you've got a situation where you're asking for 60 days and it says 45, you've got 45. You don't have the 60. It's
Yeah.
one of those that works again. If the approval letter has a date that's beyond the date on the contract applies. If the contract has a date that's beyond the approval letter, then the approval letter is what's going to be in place.
Let's talk about that in another video.
Yeah,
again.
because there's differences there depending on types of financing, and you can kind of go in circles. But
yeah, so the average time is about 45 days on an approval overall. Some are going to be longer, some might be shorter, but average is about 45 to 60 days. So if you're a buyer, that's what it's going to take. If you're a seller and your agent is working on the short sale, understand that you've got about 45 to 60 days to clean up all your affairs and get ready to rock out of that house.
exactly.
Cool?
Exactly. Absolutely. Find us online, www.s2neg.com, and we will love your questions, love your feedback, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for stopping by.